Have you ever seen a picture of a king in battle, with his army's banners streaming in the air over the glint of swords and armor? Have you seen a knight hold his shield high in a joust, his family symbols painted across it with pride? Have you seen the red cross of the Crusaders embroidered on their surcoats, the triple golden lions of Richard the Lionheart, or the five-petaled roses of the Tudors? Where did these symbols come from, and why were they used? They became important in the beginning of the High Middle Ages around 1000 AD. At that time, kings owned almost all of the land in Europe and were constantly fighting for more. Kingdoms were too big for kings to rule alone, so they trusted pieces of land to their friends who became nobles. The nobles pledged to protect the land with their soldiers, called knights. In return, the knights also got pieces of land to rule. With the constant struggle to keep their own land as well as to take it from other kingdoms, knights had to develop new strategies and technology to protect themselves and their property. Castles were one solution, and they grew more and more fortified with many tons of stone, tall impenetrable walls, moats and trenches, and constant guarding and vigilance from watchtowers. Castles made it much more difficult for knights to be attacked on their home turf. But another area of important new technology was armor and weaponry to protect a knight in battle. Knights started out with simple leather armor and chainmail armor made of small metal rings which were hard for swords to penetrate. However, it still left the knights vulnerable to many other weapons. They began adding plates of metal over their mail until eventually they had huge full suits of steel armor which covered every inch of their bodies and heads. Some armor weighed over 100 pounds. And it was impossible to tell who the heck was inside it.
Who goes there? Isn't that you, Cousin George?
This problem led to the birth of heraldry, which is the identification of a knight and his army through the use of symbols on his shield and flags, called his coat of arms. At first, they were simple symbols, but as time passed, it was necessary for a central group of people to keep track of who was using which symbols, and to make sure that no two knights shared identical coats of arms. These men were called officers of arms, but are also known as heralds because the first experts in the coats of arms of kings and nobles were their messengers, or heralds, who wore the coat of arms of their masters as they traveled around, and were able to recite the heritage, titles, and achievements of their masters and their masters' ancestors. This is why the system of classification and display of arms became known as heraldry. Under the reign of Richard III in 1484, the College of Heralds, or College of Arms, was founded to have total power over all heraldic issues. It still exists today to govern modern applications for coats of arms. In the Middle Ages, with more and more coats of arms to track, the heralds developed a system of classification for the symbols, with a specific language, to make it easier to compare different arms. They also made laws about where symbols should appear on a shield, and in what order of importance. Knights' coats of arms became so much more than just identification badges. They were the recognizable brands to instill pride in a knight's family, subjects, and soldiers, much like Nike's swoosh or Mac's Apple brands are today. Knights emblazoned their coats of arms on their army shields, armor, surcoats, banners of war, and on flags over their castle and towns, and as badges on their family's clothing, on jewelry, and as seals on their correspondence. The coat of arms provided an opportunity for a knight to boast about his lineage by incorporating elements from his ancestors' arms. They provided the opportunity to make a statement, such as King Edward III's combination of the fleur-de-lis of France with the lions of England to show his claim to both kingdoms, or King James I's combination of the lion of England with the unicorn of Scotland. Coats of arms could commemorate a special victory for a knight or make puns of his name and heritage. They could display special augmentations of honor to show a king's recognition for great deeds, or they could incorporate special symbols to show membership in high orders, such as the Templar Knights, the Knights of the Bath, or the Knights of the Garter. Or conversely, a king could order blots to be placed on a knight's coat of arms for crimes, treason, or failures. Long story short, heraldry was a big deal.
Oh, hello, good Cousin George. Such a lovely new shield. So glad that there won't be a misunderstanding this time.
It's good to see you, so good to see you.
George?